This is Robert C. Baker, and this is a special edition of Robert on Real Estate. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. You know, there's a lot of people parroting Chicken Little when it comes to the national real estate market. I recently saw an online video which proclaimed that we're in a ginormous real estate bubble and that the housing market is going to crash in 2021. The video said that the number of pendings, that is, homes that are under contract nationally, far outstripped the number of active listings. The conclusion was, we're in a real estate bubble. The video went on to project that half of the mortgage loans currently under forbearance would actually go into foreclosure. Perhaps the presenter would like to give us next week's winning lottery numbers. If you go online today, you'll see quite a number of videos proclaiming that we're in a real estate bubble and that the housing market's going to crash in 2021. Now, we don't want to be dismissive of valid claims, but we do want to take a hard look at some of the projections that people are putting forward, at least online. We shouldn't allow insufficient data to lead us to draw invalid conclusions. Case in point, just because we have rapidly rising real estate prices and low inventory does not, by itself, mean that we're in a real estate bubble. And just because a number of our fellow Americans have decided to put their mortgage loans into forbearance does not mean by itself that we're going to experience a real estate market crash, at least not in 2021. Today, I'd like to focus on 4 things that impact the national and local real estate markets: home prices, mortgage forbearance, interest rates, and the unemployment rate. By examining those 4 things, we can see whether or not the sky is falling. First, home prices. There's absolutely no doubt that home prices, both nationally and locally, have been rising rapidly, not only in 2020, but also here in the first quarter of 2021.
Nationally, Redfin reported this week that home prices had increased a record 17% year over year, whereas pending sales had increased 19% year over year. Other key takeaways include the following. New listings of homes for sale were down 17%. Finally, Redfin chief economist Daryl Fairweather said, "The super competitive housing market has been fueled by rock-bottom mortgage rates, so home prices should start to grow at a slower rate as mortgage rates tick up."
And that seems to be what most people are focusing on: rapidly rising prices. Low interest rates is fueling buyer demand, and that, coupled with low inventory, is causing prices to rise. So while there are some similarities between today's real estate market situation and the 2008-2009 real estate market crisis, such as rapidly rising prices, there are some key and notable differences that we should pay attention to. Number 1, the lax lending standards in the years preceding 08 and 09, and number 2, the glut of inventory on the market. Neither of those we have today.
Take a look at the homeowner vacancy rate provided by the St. Louis Fed. In quarter 1 of 2008, we were at 2.9. That has declined significantly. The last data that we have from fourth quarter of 2020 shows a rate of 1.0.
So, what about the future? Will prices continue to skyrocket? Well, that's anybody's guess, but experts are expecting prices to increase in 2021. That said, interest rates may also play a role, and if we see interest rates rising, that may dampen or cool down price acceleration during this year. And we'll talk about interest rates in just a moment. Second, mortgage forbearance. Another key element separating our current real estate market situation from the 2008-2009 real estate market crisis is the federal moratoria on rents and mortgage loans. A number of homeowners have taken advantage of these programs, and many are in the process of being renewed.
This week, Black Knight reported that the number of homeowners in COVID-19 related forbearance plans had decreased. This is now at the lowest level since April of 2020. That said, looking at the graph, we can see that since October 2020, the percentage rate of homes in forbearance has flatlined at about 5%. Currently, it's at 4.9%.
In fact, the federal government has shown a tendency to extend forbearance, and with the current administration in Congress, we may see further extensions in the future. That said, the forbearance rate is definitely a number we want to keep our eye on. Third, interest rates. This week, Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, said that the Fed is willing to keep interest rates at near zero at least until 2023. Powell also said that the Fed is comfortable with an inflation rate of about 2%, although the Fed expects a temporary bump in inflation this year. We continue to see interest rates rise just a little bit. The 10-year Treasury yield, which has historically been paired with the 30-year mortgage interest rate, continues to float higher and higher and now hovers around 1.7. Given the historic spread between the 10-year Treasury yield and the 30-year mortgage interest rate, about 1.5 to 2%, we might expect mortgage interest rates to climb as high as 3.8 or 3.9 by the end of the year.
Information on the 10-year Treasury note yield provided by MarketWatch.
And speaking of inflation, we're definitely seeing inflation at the gasoline pump and in the grocery store. So interest rates will continue to rise, but the Federal Reserve maintains that it will tap on the brakes. Fourth, the unemployment rate. If normal unemployment lies somewhere between 3 to 6%, then currently, nationally, we are just above normal unemployment.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics recently reported February's national unemployment rate at 6.2%. Earlier, the Bureau had reported local unemployment as follows: Hamilton County 5.9%, Catoosa County 3.2%, and Walker County at 3.9%. This is for December of 2020.
In fact, with vaccination programs well underway and local market economies opening back up, we might anticipate the unemployment rate to decline even further. For their part, the Federal Reserve anticipates an unemployment rate this year of 4.5%. All those things aside, the great unknown is the effect of further government intervention through stimulus, spending, and taxation. So here's a recap. Number 1, housing prices will continue to rise and housing inventories will continue to remain low, at least in the short term. Rising prices alone do not necessarily constitute a real estate bubble, but all buyers should be cautioned from overpaying for any house in any market. Number 2, mortgage forbearances are helping many homeowners, and as the economy recovers, we can expect that many of these folks will be able to catch up with their bills. However, we need to keep our eye on mortgage forbearances. Number 3, interest rates will go up, but not by much. The federal government will manage rates. If you'd like to discuss the economy and your home buying or home selling needs, call me or text 423-443-1649. This is Robert C. Baker, and this has been Robert on Real Estate.